Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Smoke Signals. I'm Matt
Montgomery, along with head football coach and athletic director Wayne Coleman. Jacksonville off last week. Got a big win against Alvarado. We'll talk about that today, as well as the
Corsicana game coming up this week. A 17-5A play opens up in Corsicana. Coach, big win in Alvarado, the longest road trip of the year. Your players handled that very well on a Saturday afternoon game. Your overall impressions of the game?
Surprised we were able to play such a clean game on a off schedule. You know, traveling on a Saturday, playing at 2 in the afternoon. We handled that trip and that situation much better than we did last year against Alvarado.
Pretty balanced attack for you offensively. You had almost 200 yards passing right at 150 yards rushing. That's what you want to see. You won time of possession by over 7 minutes. Your big play offense, once again, though, took over. You had some big offensive plays, but I thought kind of ran the ball well when you needed to, and then hit the little passes on the bubble and moved the ball down the field well.
We really were able to execute better than we had been executing. We only completed, I guess, half of our passes, but again, we're throwing some deep balls, and that's going to bring your percentages down. But our short passing game was very effective. And then when it came down to the crunch time, what you call the 4-minute drill, when you're trying to run the clock out and win the game, we ran the ball very effectively then.
Yeah, you look at Dontrell Sessions' stats throwing the football, at least 5 or 6 passes we counted, deep balls. I mean, that hit the receivers in the hands, and Alvarado did a nice job separating the receiver from the ball. It wasn't like they were drops. But, every week, Coach, you just seem to have somebody that steps up, makes a huge play, playmaker play, if you will. And this week it was Braylon Wright on that 2-point conversion.
That was a big play. They're lined up to go for 2 against us, and
tied up.
Yeah, they got a chance to tie the game 14-14, which would have been a big momentum swing. Instead, Braylon makes the pick and takes it back and gets us the 2 points, and really swung the momentum back to our side for the rest of the afternoon.
Now, Alvarado gave you that look, Coach, that you were wanting to see. How would we match up against a team that just, double tight, I formation, run straight at you like Ennis is going to do? How did you feel your defense handled that?
I really thought it was good for us to get in some different defensive alignments against a power running team. And our kids, especially at halftime, we made a couple adjustments. Our kids did a good job of handling the power running game, much better than last year.
Well, in the first half, it looked like Alvarado was really getting something rolling on that toss pitch. They had a couple of guys that were alternating. In the second half, as the adjustments, I guess, well, you really sealed the edge really well. Josh McDowell particularly turned the play back inside, and the linebackers, of course, Shallow Cannon had a huge game with tackles, and TJ had a big game defensively as well, and Pee Wee Fuller had a great game from the defensive line position.
Yeah. TJ played a lot more defense this game, trying to get an extra run fitter in the game at the safety position. So we played with 3 safeties a lot on Saturday, mainly to help with the run fits. And TJ is a really big hitter on defense and does a good job for us at running back also. But he really gave us added dimension on defense last Saturday.
So through 5 games, we talked about this on the last show about identity. And this 5th game, to me, looked like it kind of came together from an identity standpoint. You kind of saw who Jacksonville is. And is that kind of where you feel like you are as you went into this bye week?
Yeah, we've been pushing towards using the passing game to open up the run game. We've kind of been pushing towards that as the season's gone along. We're throwing the ball more, and it's helping us to run the ball a lot better. So that's where we want to be. And on defense, we're starting to get a little more multiple and be able to handle different offensive systems better by the adjustments we're making with our personnel.
Coach, how many playmakers do you have offensively? It just seems like every week somebody just says, oh, wow, look at that. Of course, Kay Chandler got another long touchdown bomb, and we know what he can do on the deep ball, and Dontrell Sessions has been throwing deep well. But it just seems like every week you have somebody that steps up and does a great job, handling the football and making plays.
Yeah, we've been real conscious about trying to spread the ball out and make sure we're developing as many kids as we can. Let a lot of kids touch the ball and kind of get away from that trap we got into. I don't want to call it a trap last year, but we were so one-dimensional last year.
Well, you had the 17-5A District Player of the Year, too.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard not to feed the monster.
Yeah, that's true. And we don't really have that monster this year, which lends itself to spreading the ball out and giving everybody else a chance to contribute.
Coach Alvarado didn't really throw the ball well. We'll look at highlights in just a moment, but I thought your coverage really helped your defensive front put pressure on the quarterback. You had several sacks, a lot of one fourth down play that really put your team in good position going into the half. So when you get that kind of coverage in the secondary like that, sure helps that defensive front.
Oh, there's no doubt. Our kids are getting better in the back end, and we put a lot of stress on our safeties to help fit in the run game. And so a lot of times they'll get burned on play action, but you just gotta recover, and you gotta hope your defensive front complements your back end. And if you can get pressure with the guys up front, sometimes that helps the safeties if they lose track of the receiver.
Well, Jacksonville gets the win 26-12 to go to 4-1 on the season. Let's take a look at some of the highlights right now from the Alvarado game. Here's Alvarado on their drive here. They get the score, a little slant.
Yeah, we got to make the tackle there. We had good coverage at the point of the catch. We just didn't make the play.
Here's TJ Ratliff out of the Wildcat.
TJ's a hard runner. He's physical on when he runs the football. He's physical on defense, tackling also.
And here's your sophomore linebacker, Shiloh Kennedy, with a fumble recovery here. And Shiloh is starting to really assert himself as a 10th grader on the varsity defense.
He is, and this style of game really plays into his hands. Not too much deception by the offense, and Shiloh can run downhill and tackle really well.
And what game would it be if we don't have one of these, Coach? 52 yards to Cade Chandler.
Yeah, Cade kept his receiving average up. He's still averaging about 50 yards a catch.
Yeah, he certainly is. So here's Josh McDowell with a huge sack right here on 4th down, what we were talking about a moment ago.
We actually, I don't know how many 4th down stops we had, but we did a good job of that during this ball game.
Here's right here, there's a play where the ball gets tipped, intercepted. Jay Sean uncharacteristically just tipped it and they pick it off.
Yeah, he can make that play, and Jay Sean will tell you, he was upset with himself after that. He's going to make that play 99% of the time.
And here's their big tailback Shockley with a 13-yard touchdown run, which gave Alvarado a chance to tie the game right here in a 2-point conversion, but watch what happens. Braylon Ryden.
Nice undercut right here. You know, it goes back to, you know, when you play 7-on-7 all summer, and the game of 7-on-7 so many times just turns into red zone contests. Mm-hmm. And all you talk about in red zone and 7-on-7 is undercut everything, undercut. Make them throw the ball over your head in the red zone.
99 yards for the 2-point. Here's a fumble recovery by TJ Ratliff. Again, playing a lot of offense, but also making his presence felt defensively. And here he is on offense out of the Wildcat. Punches it in. Good block over there on that right side.
Yeah, you can see Josh McDowell on the kickoff block. And we've got some kids, you know, Josh and TJ and D. Spencer and Jason Bush. They're playing a lot both ways, but we've got guys rotating in with them also. Aaron Richardson played some running back for us, helped us out there. And Sam Baker's playing a lot of outside backer now to take some of the stress off of Josh McDowell. We've got other kids starting to step up.
And that's what you really want to see, Coach, as you head into district play this week, is some of these players that you weren't sure about, that were junior varsity players last year, that are coming up and really stepping up. And, man, you really like to see that as you head into district.
Yeah, you've got to be careful about when you're playing kids both ways about, you know, taking care of their bodies and making sure that they can last an entire season. You know, it takes a toll on them. So those other kids that played on JV last year, they've got to, it's that time of year now, they're halfway through the season, they need to be stepping in and making plays also.
Corsicana, Coach, you head over there this week to open 17-5A play. And at this point last year, coming into, you had a 3-2 record. This year, you're 4-1 coming in. Do you feel like you are ahead of where you were last year, about where you are, about where you expected to be heading into district? For
sure, we're ahead. We're ahead on the defensive side of the ball. We had so many kids coming back, lots of experience on defense. Those kids are able to make a lot of in-game adjustments now that they couldn't make in the past. On the offensive side, we're just so much more versatile, and we have the ability now if you're going to take away part of our game, we can go to different parts of the game, and we didn't have that ability last year.
We talked a couple of weeks ago, Coach, when you guys were getting ready for Alvarado, that this would be the best team that you have faced this year in Alvarado, and that proved to be true. This week against Corsicana, this will be the best team you've played so far.
There's no doubt. These guys, they're a perennial playoff team. They've got an outstanding offensive unit led by the coach's son, Blake Hoffman, at quarterback, and he's a really explosive player. If there's nothing there, he's going to pull the ball down and he's going to kill you on the scramble plays. We've got to be so disciplined and staying on our receivers, and this scares you so much as a coach of just losing track of somebody in the secondary when the quarterback is buying that extra time. So it's going to take a lot of discipline on our defense this week to keep him under control.
You know, last year it was an overtime game at Tomato Bowl that the Tigers ended up winning, and Blake Hoffman was a sophomore last year, the coach's son, and they put him in at quarterback, and that's really where he came of age, at Tomato Bowl, and then he led them for the rest of the year, and they won district. So definitely a weapon for them. What will Corsicana do defensively? Of course, they're always very fast.
Yeah, they're actually playing a couple different looks this year. They have been a 4-3 team in the past, and now they're splitting time between the 4-3 and the 3-4. So we're having to prepare for both looks, and that's not easy to do. But the good news is we had the bye week, so we had some extra prep time, and hopefully the adjustments we've made in the extra week will have us ready for Friday night.
Last year, before this ball game, Corsicana really wasn't sure who they were offensively. They were trying to figure it out, and they figured it out that night at Tomato Bowl with Hoffman at quarterback. But this year, they really kind of know where they are. They're 2-3. They played some really good football teams. They played Lancaster, a state-ranked team. They played Robert E. Lee, a 6A team. They played Manor, really good football team. So coming in at 2-3, Coach, they kind of are like Jacksonville in that they're finding their identity as well.
There's no doubt. They have modified their offensive system to fit their quarterback. They've actually gone. They actually look a little bit like we looked last year with Cam High at quarterback. They've got a lot of read option game for their quarterback, and you know, I don't want to say that if we stop him, we're going to win the game, but if you can stop their quarterback, the chances are looking good.
Offensively, Coach, where does Corsicana look potentially susceptible in scouting in their first 5 ball games?
Oh boy, they are. You know, they have so much speed on their team that it's hard to pick out a weakness. You know, they won the district track meet last spring, and all those kids came back and they're playing football. They've got, without question, they've got more team speed than anybody we've played.
More than Palestine.
Yeah, they do, and that's scary.
They were fast.
That is scary.
Yeah.
They're very systematic, though. They believe in their system, and that's something you can at least plan for. They're going to do what they do. And so you've got a chance then to line up, play against tendencies, you know, make out a game plan that gives your kids a chance.
Coach, the one thing I noticed in the first few ball games was your offensive line continues to mature. And you had just, a couple of starters back, and actually just with Sergio on there, he's kind of the only one that started last year offensively because you've had some injuries. But they are starting to kind of get where they need to be as well, and what a perfect time for district.
It is, and those kids, a lot of those kids were JV football players last year, but they've got 5 games under their belt now. They're playing better every week. We played against a really big nose guard, good football player over at Alvarado last week, and our center, Bryce Buchanan, held up nicely against him, and that was good to see. We were worried about that going into the game, but they've come a long way for sure. And
Jermichael Calhoun had a huge game as well from his tackle position, did a nice job.
Yeah, he's such an athletic player on the offensive line for us. It's nice to have those kind of kids. You don't get very many of those on your offensive line, but when you got one, you got to run the ball behind him and take advantage of his skills.
Defensively, I mentioned a moment ago how your contain really helped the interior part of the defense, particularly your linebackers, but man, Pee Wee Fuller and Bacon Watkins did a great job last week too, and so I know you're going to have that kind of performance going forward.
Yeah, we are doing a tremendous job on the defensive line part of it, of playing a lot of kids. We're getting a lot of kids in and out of the game. We don't have any tired kids in there, and I think we're seeing the benefits of that.
Coach, talk about the keys to the game for Corsicana this week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, number one, contain the quarterback. There's no secret. Everybody knows he's a ball player, so we got to keep him under control. And then I think from an offensive standpoint, you know, we did a great job of last week of possessing the ball 7 minutes longer than Alvarado. If we can do that, man, the best defense for a quarterback is to keep him on the bench.
Yeah.
So if we can keep our offense on the field and keep them their offense on the bench, that'll be big for us.
Coach, you've won 3 games on the road, so you've got to feel good heading over to Corsicana that this team, especially traveling so far to Alvarado a couple of weeks ago and how they performed. These road home game things, I'm not sure how much they play into it. If your coaching staff is preparing the kids, does it really matter if you're home or away now, or do you see that as big a deal anymore?
Yeah, it's not.
Is there too much emphasis on it, I guess is what I'm asking.
You know, what I think a couple things. The crowds are not playing that big of a impact when we're on the road. I know we're not going to take that away from anybody's crowd, but it doesn't. We haven't really gone into what you would feel like is a hostile atmosphere,
like a pit.
Yeah, we haven't been in that situation. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have said this 20 years ago, but nowadays the officiating has gotten so good that you don't feel like when you're on the road you're getting homered on a Friday night. The officials, this Tyler officials crew, this chapter, they really do a great job. You feel like every Friday night you're going to get a solid performance out of those guys. So the intimidation factors of hostile crowds and homers, you know, and the officiating, you don't feel that anymore. So I think that's what's helping teams to play better on the road.
Coach, you had the bye week and healed up pretty good. Bumps and bruises, of course, nothing really major. Obviously, you know, you've lost a couple players for the season. It's Scooter Baker, and hopefully, I don't know about Ty, if he's going to be able to come back or not. But pretty healthy right now.
Yeah, we are. We feel good about it. And, you know, Shiloh has stepped up and done a great job for Scooter. So we're about as healthy as we can expect to be going into district play.
It's all for real now.
Yeah, it is. We're going to start really keeping score. So we got to not look at the scoreboard and keep focusing on the process and keep taking care of the little things, and good things will happen.
Fighting Indians on the road to start 17-5A play against Corsicana at Tiger Field. We'll be on the air at 6:50 on 94.3 The Bull. For head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signal.